All right, well, look what I found. This is from AtariMagazines.com. It says meet the 68,000. Well, I'm going to try something new here and have the Edge browser read it to us, and I'll just take notes and comment along the way.
Will the ST 16-bit chip kill BASIC and assembler? By Jack Powell, Antic Technical Editor. There's a new kid on the block. He's bigger, brighter, more sophisticated, and a whole lot faster. His name is 68,000 and he speaks in new tongues. There are those who say he could be deaf to assembly language and BASIC. The new Atari ST computers will contain the Motorola MC68000 microprocessor chip. Introduced in 1979, it was the first 16-bit microprocessor to have 32-bit internal architecture with 16-byte, non-segmented direct memory addressing, which means you can potentially access 16,777,216 bytes. That's over 500 pages of single-space typing. For programmers used to Atari's old 6502 chip, it's a whole new ball game. BASIC Babel. Most Atari programmers started with the BASIC that came with their machines. Many grew tired of its limitations and evolved to the powerful, highly precise world of machine language. Some argue this pattern will change with the new SDs. Jeffrey Gortatowski, writing on the Compute of Atari SIG, says the pattern of this evolution was caused by the design and memory limitations of the 6502. If you want to write effective speedy software for a computer that has only 64K memory available, you must use assembly language. The code produced by high-level language takes up too much memory and, on the 6502, is usually not fast enough. High-level future Gortatowski then argues that, in the 68,000, we will see the beginnings of change. The chip architecture is so flexible and fast, and the addressable memory so vast, that high-level language will become the practical choice of software manufacturers because time-consuming, costly assembly language will no longer be necessary. In addition, private owners may find that any form of BASIC which takes advantage of this chip's power is going to be cumbersome and difficult. This theory is echoed in the fine reference book, 68,000 Assembly Language Programming, by Kane, Hawkins and Leventhal, Osborne M. McGraw-Hill, Berkeley, California, 1981. We expect the future will favor high-level languages. As chips and hardware become cheaper and more powerful, the theory goes, the cost of programming labor is rising. This helps explain the shift to efficient high-level languages for program development. These languages can also permit standardization of software development between machines. A case can also be made that successful research in high-level structured languages is lagging behind hardware breakthroughs, which means that dramatic improvements in features such as ease of use are somewhat overdue and might be expected to happen reasonably soon. Until then, it is not surprising that professional program developers are specifically being told by Atari to use C or Pascal on the SDs. There are two forms of C currently available for the Atari. Deep Blue C, which can be ordered from the Antic catalog, and C65, which you can get from optimized systems software. Because of the Atari computer's current memory limitations, neither of these C versions are full implementations of the language. They should, however, serve as good training for those who wish to learn C. The new action language, also from OSS, is a cross between C and Pascal. It's fun to program with and would also be an excellent training ground for those interested in learning structured programming. In the computer world outside Atari, C is rapidly becoming more and more popular among home programmers. Does this mean BASIC is on the ropes? Not really. A choice of BASIC or logo inversions designed by Digital Research, who created the GEM operating environment used by the ST, will be bundled with the first ST machines. And there is such an established, wide base of BASIC programmers, it's doubtful the language will disappear. New BASICs are likely to appear which will take advantage of extra memory, and all sorts of easily used new commands will be added. The original structure of the language, however, probably will remain the same. Memory limitations. And what about assembly language? We think memory-efficient AL will be as necessary and popular on the SDs as on the earlier Ataris. Unlimited memory is not really available. On the IBM PC, the highly touted Symphony, written in a high-level language, requires 340K just for starters. Framework, also, written in a high-level language, will operate, barely, in 256K on the IBM PC, but its tutorial disk will not. Atari says the new SDs have non-expandable memory. We suspect it won't be long before some imaginative third-party manufacturer figures out a way to plug more memory into the non-expandable SDs. But meanwhile, if a software developer wants to market a program that will run on both ST models, assembly language may be the only viable solution. Hacker's pleasure. A consideration not taken into account in all this is the pure satisfaction that assembly language programmers get from programming at the nitty-gritty level. We're no longer talking about the practical, economic business approach, but the home hacker who wants to roll up his sleeves and get to know every board, chip and register in that machine. He does not want to be limited by someone else's idea of what the processor can do. If he wants a high-level language, he writes a high-level language. For those 6,502 hackers, we offer the following preview to whet your ST appetite. And this is simply an hors d'oeuvre. Further details and definitions must be saved for later articles. If you can't wait, we recommend you pick up the previously mentioned 68,000 Assembly Language Programming, or the 68,000 Principles and Programming by Leo J. Scanlon, Howard W. Sams and Company, Incorporated. 68,000 Overview. There are two operating modes in the 68,000, User and Supervisor. Certain instructions in Supervisor mode are not available in User mode. The Supervisor mode is a protection against operator misuse in sophisticated, multitasking systems. It should be interesting to see what Atari does with the Supervisor mode. Other niceties include built-in debugging aids, traps against illegal addressing and illegal instructions, a one-step trace mode, and 7 levels of vectored interrupts. Most of these are only available from the supervisory mode. Data types. Although the 68,000 has a 16-bit data bus, meaning that 2 bytes of information can be accessed in one machine cycle, internally it can operate on 5 different types of data: bits, for bit binary coded decimal, BCD, 8-bit bytes, B, 16-bit words, W, and 32-bit long words, L. Because of this, byte data may be addressed at even or odd addresses, but words and long words must be addressed at even addresses. For example, 3 bytes in a row could fall at addresses $0004. The 68,000 has 56 instructions and 14 addressing modes. This is very similar to the 6502. But there are 17 general-purpose 32-bit registers. 8 are considered data registers, 7 are address registers, 1 is the stack pointer, and the last is the program counter. The registers. All of the data registers are general purpose and can be used as index registers or counters. They can handle bytes, words, and long words. The address registers are primarily designed to hold addresses, but can be used as index registers. Unlike the data registers, they cannot handle 8-bit bytes. The stack pointer can also be used as a general-purpose address register. It is actually 2 registers and will contain different data depending upon whether you are in supervisor or user operating mode. The last 32-bit register is the program counter, and, although it is a 32-bit register, only 23 of the bits are used. Since instructions consist of words instead of bytes, the counter can access a range of 8M words, or 16,777,216 bytes. 6502 programmers will feel like a gnat in the Houston Astrodome. Status register. The last register in the 68,000 is the 16-bit status register, which is divided into 2 8-bit bytes. The lower 8 bits are for the user mode and the upper 8 for the supervisor. Not all available bits are used. The user flag bits are.
So I'll provide a link to this website in the description of the video. The only thing after this section I'm skipping looks like the book recommendations I made, and then we have this table of instruction mnemonics, and it goes and goes. So let me know in the comments if you like this style of video, or if that computer voice is just driving you way too crazy and you want me to just stick with my old style of videos.